Good morning. It is May 29th, 2026. Welcome to the Just Listen Live, hosted by George Goodman podcast. All right, so let's get into it right away. This is pretty important, and I want to run something past you guys. So I thought about this, and the race for the midterms is coming up, and I've been talking to you about going out to the Republican candidates' websites and the Democrats too, so that you know what they stand for. Um, there hasn't been many commercials or anything like that. And I don't know if you are aware of this, but the Republican Party in the state of Illinois just came under new leadership, and it looks like that they were having some issues, which I won't go into. You can just Google Republican Party in Illinois, and you can find out all of those facts and details. But that's when I came up with an idea. Now, all of the Republican candidates are good. I'm looking at the fact which position, state position, could the Republicans in the state win that would position us to be a barrier, since there's a super majority of Democrats in the Illinois legislature. And of course, you have a popular governor, J.B. Pritzker, who's a Democrat in the governor's office. So, drum roll, please. Okay. So, the position that I think that we should focus on for state-run office is Attorney General. Why? Okay, well, let me get to it. So, the nominee's name is Bob Fioriti, Fioretti. So you can go to his website and find out everything about him. But let me tell you why. The Republicans in the state need a buffer zone for the legislature making the laws and then the governor signing them into law. So bills that become laws. So the attorney general position is actually the only one that I think that we could buffer zone until we get a chance to fix or get more visibility in the Illinois House of Representatives and the Senate, and then look at the governorship. So, with that being said, I will always refer to him as the Republican nominee for discussion points. Okay, so the campaign pillars that he's looking at is reforming criminal justice policy and reassessing the Safety Act. As you are aware, Republicans wanted to repeal it, but he is looking at it from the perspective of reassessing it and making sure that it lines up with the law. That's an example of what the attorney general can do better than the legislature, which they're outnumbered. I've said that like three times, and then the governorship. Okay, so targeting Dem policy heavily criticized current state Democratic policies, claiming they prioritize criminals over victims. And that's been the rhetoric of the party, the Republican Party, anyway. Revising the Safety Act is to push to aggressively reform or reassess the controversial Safety Act. And the point that they keep making is they eliminated cash bail. The attorney general's position can look at that and see if the citizens of Illinois are actually being harmed by that practice, and if the attorney general would file a brief, a judge could freeze it until it goes through the legal system. That's very important because the other side, meaning the Republicans, think that that needs to be really looked at. Law enforcement support, a victim centered approach, and vows to heavily support law enforcement to restore public safety. Those are important. The Attorney General can do that. So that's why I'm saying that if we go red with the Attorney General, and some of you would say, well, why don't you just vote a straight ticket Republican? Well, most people are not going to go for that for various reasons. And also, there is an opportunity, and you need to go to the Attorney General nominee, the Republican, and see his background. Is very, very interesting. All right. Government reform and integrity, fighting corruption, expose corruption. The Attorney General's office is ruthlessly expose public corruption and enforce strict transparency at all levels of the state government. Well, they're all charged to do that, but you get the point. The rhetoric has been from the Republican Party is, and from me is, there's no audits, and there's been a couple of issues in the state where they should be investigating it and they are not. And we're talking about how money is spent, etc. Critiquing establishment ties. All right. Incumbent Attorney General, who is the current Democrat, who is the Attorney General, and these are Ferretti's words, millions of dollars in campaign contributions from Governor J.B. Pritzker and former House Speaker Mike Madigan as a root cause of the rampant, unchecked state corruption. Well, you, the voter, have to look at the information on that and see if that is in fact true or not. I do know that when Juliana Stratton was running for the Democratic nomination in Illinois, that the group that backed her with commercials on TV, the news said that that was an indirect J.B. Pritzker, not charity, but he was involved with that. It's the same fund that he uses, for lack of a better word. Plus, I have to be careful how things are said, because I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm just saying that the donors who put that commercial on had backing from the governor. Okay, leading with ethics. He possesses his personal background and legal ethics as proof that he possesses the necessary integrity to restore faith in an eroded state system. Okay, great. They're all going to say that. But that's why I'm going to keep talking about the Attorney General position, turning that into a Republican position. And we're lucky. It used to be in some of the states, I don't think Illinois was ever like that, that the governors would appoint the Attorney General. The Attorney General has to be independent. And in Illinois, the people who came before really have a good structure in place so that everybody can express themselves, and we have the check and the balance. So that's a good thing. And he's also, okay, consumer protection, etc. Please go out to his website. Okay, so let's talk about briefly what the Illinois General Assembly is doing. They adjourned May 31st, so they're really busy. Here's what they're working on, and I've talked about these before. All right, so we're looking at Senate Bill 714, House Bill 4273, will be sent to Governor Pritzker's desk. The rules. For the first time, these bills give the Illinois Department of Insurance the power to reject or freeze excessive rate increases. That's actually a good thing. So we have to be fair. That's a good thing. But of course, the industry is saying, argues that capping rates will stifle competition and could cause companies to limit coverage options within the state. Okay, well, let them have at that. The insurance company, and that is their right. This will be apparently litigated in court. So make yourself aware of the insurance rates and look at your coverage, because the insurance companies, based on this, are going to look at reducing your coverage and the amounts and all that stuff. All right. So the governor also is focused on that too. And also the artificial intelligence safety, which I talked about. Okay, so this is the requiring Frontier AI Labs, OpenAI, and Google to undergo independent third-party safety audits. So what this is about is the influence on teens, and that is interesting because I think that it's needed. But as I've told you previously, when you go after Google and OpenAI, somehow they're going to pass these costs on to consumers. Even when they sue them and they get money, the state gets money, but individual people don't seem to get anything. So this is an important issue, and there needs to be some controls in there, but let's look at disbursement going to the people who were actually affected, not coming into the state. All right. Housing affordability and community investment. That's the big thing that they've been talking about, is statewide investments aimed at easing the starter home shortage. So that is an important one, especially because who does it apply to? I keep talking about that federal poverty level that most people cannot qualify for getting affordable housing. The way that the system is set up in Illinois, you can be able-bodied and not working, and then you would qualify. That's the bottom line on that. And we really need to help everyone, not just a select few. Okay, now to end on a positive note, delivered the keynote address at the 2026 Illinois Law Enforcement Medal of Honor ceremony, publicly praising the state's police officers for stepping into crisis-ridden moments to defend local communities. So that's good on the state police. They did that, honoring first responders. So I think that that is important. Okay, so the rest of this I will talk about on Monday. The bulk of my program was on promoting voting possibly for the Republican in the midterms for Attorney General. I explained why I thought that we, the people, had a chance in the Republican Party to have a buffer zone after November 3rd election. So take a look at Bob Ferretti, Fioretti. Go to his website. You can read all about him. And like I say, moving forward, I would just refer to the position, not the candidate. You can go out and see what this candidate stands for. And as usual, I want everyone to have a good weekend. Look for opportunities to talk to someone from the other party, be respectful, and remember, everyone's opinion is important and we should respect that. Ideas are what have made the state and the country better off. And we, the people of Illinois, Illinoisans, we need to pivot from emotion to looking at policy. We also need to do that federally too. But let's focus on the state. Let's find out about our candidates, etc. I'll be back on Monday. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.